I watched a movie last night. Babadook follows a single mother, Amelia, who is trying to raise her son, Samuel, 7 years later after she survived a fatal car accident that took the life of her husband. They were on the way to the emergency room because her water broke, and she was going to have a baby. But unfortunately, the car accident happened, and now she has to raise this baby on her own. So Samuel, her son, is being portrayed to have a behavioral disorder. He's loud, he's rambunctious, he doesn't speak when spoken to, he's just always talking, he's asking questions. He's just being a kid. But the community that Amelia lives in, for whatever reason, has a problem with Samuel being a child. And so they look down upon Amelia and Samuel. And Amelia is embarrassed because she's doing the best that she can to raise her son in the conditions that she's a single mom. She lost the love of her life. She doesn't have much money, and she doesn't know what to do because her community isn't helping her raise this child. They are browbeating her. So the story follows how she deals with raising her child that nobody likes, and it's stressful and it's hard for her. Now, this commentator wanted to know how I thought The Woman in the Yard that I reviewed last week compared to Babadook's, since they have such similar storylines. Two single women who got into a car accident and lost their loved ones are now left to raise their children and be the breadwinners. So let's get started. Although these movies have identical storylines, they are very, very, very different stories. They almost don't even compare. So right away with Babadook, the mood is already set. Visually, it is gray, it's dark, it's eerie, it's cold. We already know going in that this is going to be a suspenseful, thrilling movie. The world building, we see that Amelia is alone in everything. And the one time that we see somebody being warm to her, she can't accept it because it's in a romantic way, and she's not ready for that because she is still, 7 years later, grieving her husband because she has not been able to properly grieve. So we are able to get to know Amelia, and we are able to get to know Sam before there's even a hint of a threat, which I think is amazing, because in order for me to like your character, I have to know who they are. You have to give me a reason to like her or him, and I believe Babadook does that great. You see that Amelia wants the best that she can have for her son, and you see that she just struggles to do it because she is just not there. She is hollow. With The Woman in the Yard, immediately it is very rich, it is very warm. We are outside, we see the Georgia greenery, everything looks very bright. So the mood isn't quite set yet. And even in the beginning scenes, we have a voiceover, and it's about like love and like, hey, we're gonna build this house. It's giving a lot of like exposition of what we're to expect. So we're still kind of like, what's going on in this world with The Woman in the Yard. It's not intentionally set that this is going to be an eerie or suspenseful movie. With comparing the two leads, Amelia and Ramona, since we got enough time to meet Amelia, 45 minutes of like building her world and getting to know her, we have empathy for this character. Although we never saw her smiling, there wasn't really any happy moments, we got to see her struggles, we got to see her try, we got to see who she is, we got to see her being developed as a character. With The Woman in the Yard, with Ramona, we don't get to meet her because things start popping off 13 minutes in. And so when we first hear her mouth coming out, she's like snapping at her son, and from then on she just seems very ungrateful for what her son is doing, since her son is kind of taking over the man role. Instead of her being like thankful, she seems very resentful and just like irritated with her situation, since she is in a knee brace because she did get hurt in the accident. So like with The Woman in the Yard, with this character, we aren't given a reason to like her, so we kind of just watch what happens to her rather than rooting for her. It's like, yes, we feel bad for you because you're in this knee brace and you lost the love of your life, but then you don't have any redemption. There's no reason for you to be our girl. You know what I mean? We're not rooting for you to be the final girl because you just aren't likable, because everything that comes out of your mouth, you're kind of just snapping at your son, and it's kind of like, oh, who is this woman? Get her off my screen. So that's the biggest, like, a huge difference between the lead characters in these movies. These two movies, obviously their themes are depression, mourning, mental illness, and it's not shown that that's what we're talking about very well in The Woman with the Yard. We know that because we are intellectual people and we kind of know what this movie's about going in, and we can understand how, oh yeah, losing a husband would put you in depression, but it's kind of just told to us in The Woman in the Yard that this woman is depressed, this woman is upset. With Babadook, we are shown that this woman is upset, that this woman is depressed by the way that she's being talked to, the way that people are talking about her and about her son, things like that. So the way that the mental illness is being given to us is just different. Let's get into the monsters or the antagonists in the movies. With the Babadook movie, there are two threats. There are two villains, monsters, however you want to call it. We have the CPS workers, the Child Protective Services, who are coming to threaten to take Samuel away from Amelia. And then we also have, obviously, the Babadook, the supernatural. So it was really interesting to see a realistic threat of the child getting taken away by CPS, and also the supernatural threat of the child being taken away by this monster. With The Woman in the Yard, the threat or the antagonist was the woman in the yard. We can't see her face. She's sitting in all black, a veil, lacy veil, but we can't see who she is. We don't know who she is, and she's speaking in riddles, which I thought was really cool. We couldn't see her eyes, and if you can't see somebody's eyes, you can't really trust them. But then they have the woman take her veil off, and then you see this beautiful woman with high cheekbones, a chiseled jaw, and it's like the threat is over because she's this beautiful woman. And who's afraid of a beautiful woman except for an insecure person? So I didn't understand why they would take the intensity and the suspense away by showing us who this antagonist is. I thought that they should have revealed that later, or just never showed us at all, because it was probably like 45 minutes in when the lady took the veil off to reveal herself, and it's just like, you're not scary, ma'am. You're kind of a beautiful Grace Jones, you know? So long story short, The Babadook was the better movie. The Woman in the Yard just wasn't a good movie. And I was wondering, like, oh, maybe The Woman in the Yard didn't have that big of a budget. $12 million, The Babadook was $2 million, and it was able to do so much more on that. It's the intention that behind it. The story was about showing us how single mothers have to go through so much to raise their son, especially when the single mothers don't have a village to help raise the son. It delivered the message much stronger. And with The Woman in the Yard, I'm not really sure why this movie was written, because it doesn't give anything. We're just watching it for the sake of watching it, and it was really disappointing. With The Woman in the Yard, and I hate to say it, and I looked up the writer to see who he was, and I couldn't find much of anything, but it felt like the writer may have some mommy issues, just the way that the lead character is written. What did you guys think? Have you guys seen The Babadook? Have you seen The Woman in the Yard? How do you think they compare? How do you think they contrast? Would you recommend either movie? I would recommend The Babadook. Wouldn't recommend The Woman in the Yard. And I felt really bad about it because I really wanted to like it, but y'all didn't write anything for me to like about it, except for the lighting. It had really good lighting effects. Anyway, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk about it.